I don't want to misguide anybody. I can tell you what I saw and what I felt. We were in the movement. To be very honest, most of the people had no clue as to who were doing what at the background.
So you said chess coins. So what exactly do you mean by chess coins? Who was actually moving the coins?
We were so gullible. We were so stupid. Right now when I think about it, I cannot believe how stupid I have been. But then after time went by, I actually started to question a lot of things in the movement. It started to bother you. But all these social activists and stalwarts in public life, for me, I was looking up to them. But we had passion, so we wanted to do what is right for the country. But then you started noticing all these things. That movement, of course, transformed the lives of so many people. So many became activists, so many became involved in the country and all that. But it gave way to a monstrosity that is there right now in the form of BJP government.
Hello and welcome to the News Minute. If there is one moment that changed a lot in Indian politics, that's the Anna Hazare Movement. A lot of people were part of it, a lot of people felt angry about it, and a lot of people left everything and participated in it. After 11-12 years, they have realized that Anna Hazare Movement was something that is stage managed, or probably they were misguided in a way. To talk about this, I have with me Chandra Mohan, who was part of India Against Corruption movement, who was spearheading the movement here in Tamil Nadu, who was also the National Core Committee member, which consists of at least 28 members from across the country. And thank you so much for talking to us, Mr. Chandra Mohan. Just tell us about why you wanted to be a part of the India Against Corruption movement. Like I said, a lot of youngsters came into it. Lot of youngsters got inspired. They wanted to fight corruption. What was your background and why did you want to become a part of this movement?
Basically, my background was I was into softwares. I lived in the US for about 10 years. And then I quit my job and I wanted to get into movies. So I went to New York Film Academy and studied and all that. So I wanted to come back to India and do something over here. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So when I came back, it was in 2010. That's when I came back to India. And at the time, I started going around the city with a camera, trying to figure out what my country is all about. So a lot of things that I saw bothered me about the nation, and I wanted to do something about it. So while I was searching as to what I want to do, that is when this India Against Corruption movement came. First, it was the CWG scam. Once that came into the limelight, we were all quite shocked, obviously, like everybody else in the country. And then came the so-called 2G scam. And so the numbers were so huge, and like everybody else in the country, we were flabbergasted and we were like, oh my God, something has to be done. So that is our, initiation into the movement. And at that point of time, Arvind Kejriwal and Anna Hazare and Kiran Bedi, Prashant Bhushan, all of them gave a call saying, whoever wants to start the movement in whichever state, you all do that. So many of us started over here, and as I say, the rest is history.
When you were part of this movement, did you feel that, who is running this movement? What exactly is happening? Or in that moment, you were unable to, think about all that? You just went with the flow, or what exactly happened?
To be very honest, we all went with the flow. Because people from every walk of life, they all came to the movement. And all of us participated with fervor and, because everybody wants to contribute something for the country. And when such news like 2G scam and coal scam and all that kept coming one after the other, we always knew that India is filled with corruption. It's not just about Congress or any other party. All of them are corrupt. So we thought, okay, it's high time, let's do something about it. That's how it began. And while we were in the movement, to be very honest, most of the people had no clue as to who were doing what at the background. what was happening in the background, who are moving the chess coins, and so everybody was just blinded to most of this fact. Everybody was just going there, participated in the movement because they felt they wanted to do something for the country. That's as simple as that. But some of us who were in the core committee, so we were privy to a little more information than the general public, is what I can say.
So you said chess coins.
Yeah.
So what exactly do you mean by chess coins? Who was actually moving the coins?
So in anything, in hindsight, everything seems like, very easy to see. But at that point of time, nobody thought this movement is probably backed by, let's say, the right wing, or the Hindutva agenda was behind it. We didn't feel that, But then after time went by, I actually started to question a lot of things in the movement. It started to bother you, because even though when we had a national core committee, we had representatives in the committee who were openly for a BJP government. Now, I want to clarify a few things as we go through this interview, because I don't want to misguide anybody. I can tell you what I saw and what I felt. Now, we tried to be an inclusive movement. We said, from all walks of life, people have to come in, all kinds of activists should come in, and all that. So it was all done like that. Initially, they had this meeting of around 600 social activists from throughout the country in Gandhi Peace Foundation in New Delhi. I was invited for that from Tamil Nadu. And from Tamil Nadu, few of us went over there. So after a 2-day meeting of discussions and healthy discussions, around 30 of them were shortlisted to lead the movement. And I was fortunate enough to be in that. So at that point of time, our agenda was very simple. We were only talking about Jan Lokpal. We just wanted, that to be implemented.
Corruption was the major
Corruption
issue.
Was the
Corruption
main
was the issue. No,
that was it.
Nothing political.
Nothing political. Nobody spoke anything political at all. In fact, during the meetings, it was actively kept outside. We only focused on the movement, only focused on Jan Lokpal bill. We only focused on how we can pressurize the government to get the bill done. And we realized not just Congress, no other party wanted to bring that bill either. So they were all hand in glove. And so our fight was literally against every political party. Of course, Congress was mainly in power, but also all other political parties, because all of you, if you travel back in time, when they tried to pass the bill, nobody wanted to pass the bill in the parliament or anything. So that's how it was. But as time went by, we had representatives from Art of Living. We had even Kiran Bedi. In the initial phases, I didn't know her leaning towards BJP. Because you have to understand something. For 10 years, I was not in India. I was 21 when I left the US. I came back when I was 30, and straight away I was into this movement. So activism itself was extremely, very new for me. And so all these people, all these social activists and, stalwarts in public life, for me, I was looking up to them, But we had passion, so we, wanted to do what is right for the country. But then you started noticing all these things. For example, in one of the elections, during the movement, in one of the elections, I'm not too sure, I think it's Himachal Pradesh or whichever, I forget. There was an active lobbying in the National Core Committee meeting where Kiran Bedi was saying that, we should support BJP. As a movement, we should support BJP. And I have to say it out openly. Myself, Arvind Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, Prashant Bhushan, all of them were against it, Gopal Rai. They were all against that notion that we should support any political party. We were very clear in our mind that all political parties are corrupt. We are not going to be supporting any party. In fact, what we decided at that point of time was, we will probably select honest candidates and tell the people, these are the candidates that we are supporting. They're not from any political party, they're individuals. If you want, you can vote for them. That is something that we thought. But then that is when I started realizing, if these people are openly supporting and want the movement to move towards BJP, then what are they doing in the core committee? Why are they part of this movement? Being new and, being a young activist, you can't, really do large scale changes inside. You can only question these things. You can fight it out whenever they come up with their agenda. You can only push back.
So along with you, there were also other activists.
Yes,
right?
yes.
There were other
Plenty of
activists
them
who could easily understand that what's the agenda.
Yes. Some of them, very early in the movement, excused from the movement. For example, P.V. Rajagopal, he was part of the core committee. But at that time, he was going through a yatra throughout the country. So he said he can't really, for Adivasis, he is the champion of Adivasis. So he wanted to go around the country, meet all these people and solve their issues. So he said, I can't, possibly justify my time over here. So he went out. So like that, there are few who, pulled out. But most of them who were in the committee, I would feel, except for this lobby that was there, the rest of them I felt was quite genuine in trying to, see what we can do about corruption, how to bring this particular bill, Jan Lokbal bill, into existence. For example, Prashant Bhushan and Shanti Bhushan and Santosh Shekdeji, all of them were stalwarts in I can certainly vouch for all of their integrity. They were not in any way close to this agenda-filled people who were inside the core committee.
Okay.
There were few.
So like you said, as a young activist, you were part of the movement because you wanted to fight corruption. You were angry with what you saw, one corruption, scandal after another. 10 years later, or in hindsight, like you said, what goes on in your mind? What exactly are you thinking?
Well, I mean, to be very honest, that movement, of course, transformed the lives of so many people. So many became activists, so many became involved in the country and all that. But it gave way to a monstrosity that is there right now in the form of BJP government. Say what you want, but that movement paved the way for such a huge win for BJP. If not for that movement, BJP wouldn't have won. I don't know if they would have won. Even if they wouldn't, it wouldn't have been in this margin. This big of a margin. And to me, now that when you hear Vinod Rai say that he lied about the 2G scam, the numbers and all that, you feel completely cheated and you feel you have been manipulated, by these forces which you had no clue about, In fact, all my activism right now, the reason why I not just fight against corruption, but one of the major agendas for me is to fight against fascism, fight against Hindutva, fight against this absolute virus that has, gotten hold of our country. Because day in and day out, so much of hatred, so much of anger is spewed, so much of venom is infused in people's minds. I see it every day. Genuinely good people, honest people, decent people. Humanity is taken away from their hearts. They have been corrupted by media, and I don't want to generalize all media. People will understand the Godi media that I'm talking about. Every day, they play this role, where they spread this hatred to keep their political masters in the game, in power. And this is destroying the very soul of India. This is destroying who we are as not just Indians, but who we are as human beings. If we can't even be as human beings, we can't even, live with dignity, show our affection to other human being, and we are all always divided by religion, then what are we talking about being an Indian? What India are you talking about? So to me, I have so much anger in me that I have been cheated, I have been hoodwinked into coming into this movement. We all have shed our blood and sweat for this movement. We all I've sat, many people in Chennai sat for 13 days fasting. When Anna Hazare sat in Delhi, we all sat over here. Why do we do that? Because we felt that this is something that we need to do for the future. But knowing that the Hindutva forces were behind it, orchestrating a lot of things, it really angers me, And
so coming back to Anna Hazare, coming back to the movement, did you ever feel like while you were protesting here in Chennai, because I have covered the Anna Hazare protest, that's how I met you first. So while you were covering or while you were holding the Anshan, the 13-day fast, or while you were part of the movement, there were some people who were, probably who had links with the right wing, who were,
Absolutely.
sort of trying to lead the movement in Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
Were you able to identify them at that time, or later you realized what exactly was their agenda and who are those people?
To be very fair, or to be very frank, during the movement time, like I said, we weren't really aware of these things. We were not really perceptive of these things. What I understood later on is that when we moved from the movement and it transformed into Aam Aadmi Party, I'm the founder of Aam Aadmi Party as well. So when we moved that's when so many people in the movement showed their true colors. They were not against corruption, they were just against Congress. A lot of them had RSS tie-ups, a lot of them were Karyakartas in there, a lot of them were part of the Baba Ramdev movement. But at the same time, the movement had people filled with people who were absolutely had no part with right-wing ideology, or they didn't even realize that there was right-wing forces in it. Some activists were smart enough at the time to realize something is brewing. This has some RSS, backdrop to it. Hallmarks of RSS backdrop to it at the time. In fact, I didn't accept at the time. I was like, no, because I am not RSS. So if somebody calls the movement that we are running as an RSS movement, what will you do? You obviously will try to defend it, because you have no agenda. You are pure at heart. You want what is good for the country. But then these instances, for example, when Baba Ramdev used to come to the protest site, we used to raise hell in the committee, and at the time Arvind was against it, Manish and Prashant Bhushan, myself, all of us were against it. Of course, the BJP lobby inside over there, they were not against it. But what happened is, Baba Ramdev did this where he would just bring in hundreds and thousands of his followers and just come and sit in the protest. What can you do? You can't tell them to get out. They're not from a political party, but they are from this right wing. We don't want them, part of the movement. But then, they just come in like general public. You can't do anything about it. He will just directly come and sit next to Anna Hazare. We'll be fuming, sitting here thinking, what the hell is he doing over here? We don't want these things. We don't want these religious colors on our movement. But because we have to be decent, we just kept quiet about it. And then we will have our committee meetings and we'll be screaming at each other saying, oh, how the hell did this happen? Why? We cannot allow this to happen. We cannot have this religious color, put on our movement. So these things were happening. In fact, Arvind Kejriwal was when he started this movement, he is the one who is the core for this. He started questioning the CWG scam. At the time when he wanted to do something about it, he went and approached Kiran Bedi and Prashant Bhushan and all that. There is an important thing is, he went to Sri Ravi Shankar. Sri Ravi Shankar spoke to him and instructed him to go to Maharashtra to meet Anna Hazare and make him the face of the movement. Now, at that point of time, all I knew about Sri Ravi Shankar is that he is some spiritual guru. I had no opinions about him per se. But I also realized, I had one chance meeting with him. I realized he was not just a spiritual guru. He was deeply political. And he was deeply against Congress alone. He was completely supporting BJP. That was very visible in the first meeting I had with him. It was only for about 20 minutes or 25 minutes we met and spoke.
This is while you were part of the movement?
It was part of the movement, when we were part of the movement. Probably we were 6 months down inside the movement. I had a chance meeting with him. And when I had a discussion, it was completely political. That's when I realized, okay, so there are so many chess pieces everywhere placed, and all of these people are moving their coins correctly and making sure the movement sustains.
Looks apolitical.
It looks apolitical. It's very important because we were very fiercely apolitical. If you remember, during those times, we never allowed a single political party person to come into our protest. We were very clear on that because we hated all political parties. Irrespective of who you are, we didn't want any of them to come close to our movement. So we were very clear on that. So we were being apolitical. But that is the beauty of this RSS and this right wing, I mean, even though we oppose them, sometimes you have to tip their hat for their shrewdness. We were so gullible. We were so stupid. Right now, when I think about it, I cannot believe how stupid I have been. And it drives me nuts. And literally, it's like my opposition to BJP right now, or my opposition to RSS right now, is my way of saying sorry to the country for helping even in a minuscule way to bring such monstrous party to power. So for
So
me,
you are convinced that it was Anna Hazare movement that gave the BJP the much needed boost to come
absolutely,
back to
without a shred of doubt, because you have to understand that movement literally decimated Congress throughout. Now, when you talk about national parties, when you talk about options of who can form the party, there are only two options as far as a single biggest party. You either have BJP or Congress at the time. So naturally, when you go against the ruling party, whatever actions as an activist you do is by default going to benefit the opposition party. For example, we were part of an Manipur move over here. When Jayalalitha was in power, when ADMK was in power, we were fighting against corruption over them. Now, who benefits from that? DMK will come to power. Now, when DMK comes to power, we fight against them, and then whoever. See, this is how the nature of politics is. So, as far as majority of the people who were part of the movement is concerned, we were completely apolitical. And we had no religious thought process or agendas behind it. We only wanted what is best for the country. We wanted corruption to be rooted out. That's it. But to be very honest, all this could not have sustained the way how it sustained if not for RSS hand in it.
So there were a lot of people who came to the protest site. Sundays it would be filled with people.
Yeah.
I could still remember everyone, holding the national flag and being part of the moment for days together. But somewhere at that time, even we had this input, or we had this feeling that, the crowd that gathered in Delhi were mostly, right-wing karyakartas, or like people belonging to the right wing. Here in Tamil Nadu, it did not have much impact, is what I feel, because the protest was only in Chennai, not in any other part of the state, or there were some places where there was this protest. But did you actually, find out like something from here? Like here, I think it was Kitty who was, organizing these protests to a certain extent.
No, he just found us a place to protest.
Okay.
There was a big committee who were organizing all the protests and everything. So when we sat in LB Road, Thiruvanmiyur, that huge building that we sat in, that empty building, so he spoke to the owners and got permission for us to be in it. But the movement has always been run by a committee of people, a group of people, well-intentioned. And in that committee also, there were people who were BJP supporters. We didn't realize it. Most of us didn't realize it. We only realized it later on. Now we still are, of course we are in touch in social media and all that. But then we realized a lot of these people who came to this movement were really not against corruption per se, but they were just against Congress. That's it. They just wanted BJP to come to power, so they did whatever they could. But some of them were genuinely also hoodwinked by Vinod Roy and the RSS agenda. When all these scam numbers came in, we all believed it. So some of them came in that belief as well. They also genuinely wanted to do something for the country. But once we became Aam Aadmi Party, then all the colors were revealed. Then we understood, oh my goodness, all these people, all this time when they were with us, we thought they were genuinely against corruption, but it's not so. They just want BJP to come to power. So that was a shock.
So what would you say, after 10 years, the way BJP has, acted upon corruption cases, or
acted upon corruption cases?
Or maybe, I don't know. Like they say,
that's
they
a
claim,
joke of the century.
they claim
Yeah, well, first of all,
They claim to say that they are going to root out corruption. They are going to, go after people who are corrupt, political parties who are corrupt. Even as we speak, there are raids that are being carried out in different places.
so let me place this categorically, and I face the consequences for whatever I say. Without a shred of doubt, Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is the most corrupt Prime Minister India ever had. PM Cares Fund, does any of you know how much money came in? What that money was spent on? None of us know. What it is, if not corruption? Public gave money at the time when we were all dying. He promised that this money will be spent for what? For vaccinations and all that. Now the country has to ask, what the hell happened to that money? Why is the secrecy? Even if Supreme Court can't get an answer to that, why do you hide? Only a thief hides. Only a person who has stolen that money and used it for purposes other than said will hide. And that is what he is doing. So I will openly call Mr. Narendra Modi as the most corrupt Prime Minister India has ever seen. Don't even get me started on electoral bonds. Electoral bonds. A country where the entire electoral process has been corrupted, where nobody knows who's giving money, where the money is coming from, no transparency in it. If this is not corruption, then what is? Mr. Modi should be ashamed of himself. He said Achedin, this is not Achedin. I don't know what's a Hindi word for the opposite of Achedin is, but that is what it is.
Buredin.
Buredin, yes. Then Buredin is what it is. Every day is a Buredin. Now, let me ask this question for those who say that they are, using ED and everything to fight against corruption. How come from 2014, so ever since he became the Prime Minister, not a single political leader has been jailed for corruption? Please, just explain this to me. Because either Mr. Modi is inept to put people behind bars, corrupt people behind bars, or he just doesn't care about it. It's all just a natak. And we all know it's all just a natak. Now, how come ED or IT or whatever, they don't go to a single BJP minister or MLA's house for raid? Why? So that means you're using the department only to target the opposition parties, right? Now, I don't mind them targeting the opposition parties, because if you are corrupt, I want all corrupt people to be gone, period, okay? But this is just political vendetta and nothing else. Not even just political vendetta. This is the way of blackmailing them so that they can buy their loyalty. That's all it is. It is not about eradicating corruption. Now, what happened in Karnataka? What happened in Maharashtra? What happened in Madhya Pradesh? What happened in all these places where BJP doesn't win elections, somebody else wins elections, and then they go buy these MLAs? If that is not corruption, if that is not desecration of democracy, then I don't know what is. And Mr. Modi, Mr. Amit Shah, they are stalwarts of corruption. They have done PhD in corruption in this. To me, this is shameful. This is not democracy. This is moneycracy. They can pay and buy off anybody they want. So when people say BJP is against corruption, I laugh. They are the worst corrupt I have ever seen in all my life, without a doubt.
But the BJP says that all these political parties that are coming together, the opposition parties, they are the ones who are corrupt, and ED is helping them to get together because ED is going after corruption, and the Enforcement Directorate is actually, making this alliance possible. And whenever he comes here, he talks about the 2G scam. That was the time when the Anna Hazare Movement was, completely filled with talks about the 2G scam and A Raja. So yeah,
but they can say
BJP,
whatever
the
they can say
BJP
whatever
justifies their action.
Yeah, they will obviously justify their action. Now, what do they do with ED? What do they do with CBI? And what do they do with IT department is just to threaten these opposition parties. Just like how they subdued AADMK completely, because they are all corrupt. Now, whatever corruption that they have done, they have their evidences. So they don't want to go to jail. So they will be their puppets for BJP. And that is what has happened throughout the country. That is what they have been doing throughout the country. Now, what happened to Ajit Pawar? Suddenly now he's
Finance Minister.
He's a finance minister. I mean, how did that come into play? Wasn't Prime Minister Modi saying that he is a corrupt guy, and the BJP was screaming that he is corrupt, he had 1,000 crores wealth and all that? Didn't that happen? And how did now the tables turn? You look at a number of people in Congress and other political parties who the BJP said were the most corrupt, had evidences and all that. And then suddenly, washing powder Nirma happened. They came to BJP and now they're all fresh, white, non-corrupt. So if this is what is called eradicating of corruption, then definitely BJP is eradicating corruption. They're just taking the name corruption away from that person, but nothing else. So to me, it's laughable when people say that. And that's why I keep saying, every political party, is corrupt. Okay, we're only talking about the level, and the levels keep changing. Whoever is in power is more corrupt. It's as simple as that. BJP just uses these agencies so that they can make everyone their puppets, so they can form governments illegally. Undemocratically, they have been forming governments. They don't win elections, outright. They buy MLAs. And it's very easy to buy these opposition MLAs because who has ideology? Who cares about ideologies? No party has proper ideologies. Even the so-called, social justice party people, when, we are the social justice party, what social justice? Corruption itself is against social justice. And you're seeped into it, and as if, okay, let me not get into that one now. But, but what I'm saying is, if you talk about corruption, everybody is equally corrupt. Okay? And as people, we are only idiots fighting with each other in the name of political parties.
In the name of religion?
In the name of religion, in the name of caste. Ultimately, we are the ones who are suffering. That is something which is so basic that we just don't get it. People, as long as they have this affiliation or this affliction to some particular political party or a leader, they blindly defend everything that they do, that the party does or the leader does. Cannot believe how stupid we are in a democracy where we are literally putting sand in our own head by being this blind followers. When we don't realize it is our life that is being affected. And then you go on to support these corrupt people and these violent people, these bigoted people. I mean, it's just a reflection of who we are as a society, isn't it?
Okay. My last question. Can we say, or maybe call it the Anna Hazare Movement a scam?
Well, that will be too crude to say the whole thing is a scam, because the scam was what Vinod Rai did. The scam was about 2G's, numbers and all that. And a lot of people genuinely, like I said, believed and came in and fought against corruption. And it's not like Congress was a pure party, by the way. They were corrupt. Let's not forget that. Okay. So for the movement to come into existence, it was justifiable to some part. In some part, to this level, may not be. But I would not besmirch everybody who came into the movement because they had pure intentions. They wanted to fight against corruption. They wanted to do something for the country. I will not besmirch their name. Yes, we were played like a fiddle. Some of us didn't realize the depth in which, these people operated. But that's how RSS is. It is a secret, and they have always been secretive. Does any of us know who these RSS members are? Do they even proclaim? Why is an organization so secretive? Only an organization which has ulterior motives, which are not good for the nation, are the ones who will be secretive. I have no idea who these people are, how they infiltrate into the society and do what they do, and we need to be careful, we need to be watchful, and I hope we are much wiser than how we were 10 years back, from how we were 10 years or 12 years back. So, but as long as Tamil Nadu is concerned, I'll guarantee you this, BJP and RSS are not going to, get in. We will vehemently fight them till our last breath.
Right, Chandru. Thank you so much for talking to us and, telling us the inside details that many of us, had some idea, but nobody was willing to talk about it. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me, Shabbir.